All right, guys, so the first thing we got here is the motherboard. So we're going to go ahead and get everything taken out of the box, and then we'll take it from there. So, ooh, look at this beauty. Beauty. It's in the anti-static packaging. All right, so we have a bunch of stickers. So this is the actual manual. And then this right here is the, oh, this is the drivers and utilities. So this is pretty cool, but we do not have a CD drive. So, okay, so let's see. I don't know what this cable is, but we'll find out. Okay, so this is a SATA cable. It's a SATA 3 cable. That's pretty cool. Oh, and the right angle too. This is the Wi-Fi wireless antenna Velcro strips. That's pretty cool. I bought some of these already. We may have to connect this to the actual motherboard because it says for power LED speakers. So we got this. Similar to the cable we looked at earlier, like it may be for one of the fan headers. We have some more SATA cables. Told you, first time build. I don't know what this is, but we'll find out. Just 3 other screws. I'm pretty sure these are going to come in handy. I just don't know what for just yet. All right, so that was all of our stuff that was in the motherboard. So we're going to go ahead and take the motherboard out of the anti-static packaging. Look at that. That is just beautiful. Look at that. My goodness. So on the back, there's no back plate that comes with this. So the only back plate that we're going to be putting on is the one that comes with the actual all-in-one water cooler. Number one thing that we're going to do first is actually, we are going to take the actual plastic off. Definitely don't want to leave none of these plastic pieces on when it comes to heat and all this different type of stuff. So gotta love this thing. And so just make sure that you take your time. Leave no plastic unturned. All right, so these three, this one, and this one are our M.2 drives. These are the actual heat sink. We have 2 M.2 NVMe drives, so we're gonna use these 2. Not gonna use the last one, so we're gonna use these 2. This one is definitely gonna be for the OS because it's closest to the actual processor, so we definitely want to use that as the OS. And then the second one is going to be the actual scratch disk. This is the 500GB 970 Evo. So as you can see there, super thin. And I know a lot of people will do the actual processor first. We actually going to do the processor. We're going to do the M.2 slots first, the memory second, and then we're going to do the processor third. Why? Because I'm a little scared. I ain't gonna lie. So with this, we're gonna make sure we take this off because it has the thermal pads that's up under there, and that is gonna sit on top of the NVMe drive. It's just gonna slide in. All right, so it slides in just gently. All right, so we're gonna peel this off. All we're gonna do is just go ahead and put the heat sink back on top here. And screw this back on. All right, so we're actually gonna go ahead and unscrew this one and put in the other NVMe drive. $250GB 970 Evo Plus, and we're going to put this in the actual second slot here. So the heat sinks help spread the actual heat evenly across the NVMEs and help keeps them cool. So the next thing we're going to do is the actual memory. Okay, so with the G.Skill rip draws that we have here, this particular motherboard benefits from the T topology and the 6-layer PCB, and so it's definitely going to actually benefit for having all 4 memory banks filled up. And these only go in one way, so you can't get it wrong. So you have one side that's long, other side that's short. And so all you want to do is just match that up on the actual motherboard. And when you press down on it, that should both click in. And you just install some memory. All right, so now we have all 4 sticks of memory in, and We don't have to worry about that. So the next thing that we're going to do is actually install the processor. All right, so and it comes apart. This is so fancy. I feel like this is like a Rubik's Cube. Haha, I cracked the case. Core i9 9900K. So you see the contacts on the bottom. You don't want to touch the bottom and you don't want to touch the top. So when we take it out of this plastic case, we're going to hold it by the sides and then we're going to just drop it into the actual motherboard. Now we're going to grab it by the sides like we talked about. All right, so on the processor here, there's an arrow. You're going to take that arrow and you're going to line it up. I don't know if you can see it, but there's also an arrow right here. All you're doing is just matching that up. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drop this in slowly. And we're just going to shift it just a little bit just to make sure it drops in. Wiggle it, it's in. Okay, now I'm going to close this back down. So now it's going to be some pressure and then this plastic lid is going to pop off. So just take your time, don't worry, it's okay. Oh, that doesn't sound good to me. I am so scared to do this. Why am I so scared to do this? I've looked at these videos so many times and they say that it's okay. All right, so it's gonna pop off. It's gonna have some tension. And it did it. Let me tell you something. That was scary. The piece popped off. So we install our processor. Yay! We didn't mess up anything. All right, guys. So I need to go ahead and open up the actual water cooler so I can get the back plate off so we could put it on the back of the motherboard. You could do stuff however you want to do it. All I know is I want to put this back plate on before I put it inside the case. Next thing that we're going to do is actually prepare the case. So we're going to take out everything out of the case. And then we're going to go ahead and install the motherboard, and then we'll start installing everything else. Wow. Okay, so we got the manual. We definitely have to look at this. Boy, these 140 millimeter fans, these things are huge. I didn't realize these things were so big. No wonder why they push out a lot of air. This is the radiator. If you can see that here, that's the pre-applied thermal pad. And so we don't want to touch that. But what I am looking for is the back plate. Because the rest of the stuff, I'm going to put it back. All right, so we're back with our motherboard. And we need to install this back plate. Ew. Okay, let's look at our manual. Need to read. To be honest with you, I don't know how it goes. But I do know this needs to go on the back of the motherboard. All right, guys, so what we need to do, we need to use this. And this actually has 3M tape. Interesting. Did not know that. Okay, so we got the motherboard flipped over. We're gonna go ahead and take off this 3M tape. Okay, so you got the holes here for this back plate. Okay, so these are adjustable. So you got to just move these to where they need to be before you put it on. So don't worry, they didn't make a mistake. They slide. So that might be, it should be good. All right, so I slid them all the way in. Now, we're gonna hold this while I flip it over. We're gonna sit that back down. And now we want to take our standoffs that come in the bag for, that come in the box for the water cooler. Go ahead and screw these in. I'm gonna sit our motherboard off to the side because we are about to clear out our case so we can install the motherboard in the case. Okay, so this is the Corsair Obsidian 500D SE RGB. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna take the tempered glass off, sit it to the side so we don't break it. This comes with zip ties, some screws, and all this stuff. That was part of one of the trays in the side here on the case. I am going to see about actually removing these because I'm not going to need them. They're actually thumb screws right here. I don't have any mechanical hard drives, so I'm actually going to use this space here, the Commander Pro. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and remove these now. So this right here is actually it's used for cable management as well. So we're going to take this off. This is where we're going to route a lot of our cables and everything, but we got to unhook this so we can know where everything is going. And so then we're going to flip this around and install the motherboard. Okay, so we got the case kind of set up. We have the cables here. So this one right here is your USB 3.1 Type C header. Goes to the actual front. This one right here is your USB 3.0. We have the HD audio cable that's right here. The actual Commander Pro, you can't see it here. Right down here, it's already been installed. And then we also have another, I think this is the lighting node that's on the side of the power supply shroud that's right here. So we got some good stuff. These are the actual RGB LL 120 fans that's on the front. So it's going to be pulling in cold air from the front. It's going to come through here. We're going to put an additional LL120 fan here for exhaust. So that's going to be pulling the hot air out. It's going to come out. And then up at the top is where we're going to actually put our 280 millimeter radiator. So this has a mesh air filter up here, and there is also another mesh air filter on the front. So let's go ahead and get the motherboard installed. So we got our motherboard here. This is a full ATX case. It has standoffs on where the actual standoffs are going to go up through here. Then we're going to actually put the screws in. So this already has the actual faceplates attached. So we just need to make sure that we just line that up and make sure we position it the correct way. All right. So it looks like we finally got it in the actual grooves inside the standoff. So now we just need to make sure we screw our motherboard in. And so man, it's looking good already. I realized I did something wrong. All right, so on the M.2 drives, I actually missed this step. I was supposed to install a standoff. So let me just fix that real quick. Hey, noob mistake. So I was supposed to screw the standoff in right here first. Then I go ahead and wiggle this in. I take my small screw here that came with the motherboard. I screw that down first. And now I install the heatsink with the actual screw that came from the heatsink. And that's the correct way to install the actual M.2 drive with the heatsink. So I'm just gonna go ahead and correct this one. All right, so now we just need to go ahead and screw our motherboard in. All right, so we have the motherboard. We got all the screws screwed in. So cables are needed. We know we need the motherboard, the 24-pin connector here. So we'll go ahead and get that plugged in. And you definitely want to make sure that you plug these in first, because you're not going to have any room to try to put anything in after we slide this in, because it's a tight fit. Know we're going to need some SATA connectors. So let's go ahead and plug that in. And for our graphics card, our particular graphics card takes an 8-pin and a 6-pin connector. So we're definitely going to make sure we get that plugged in. And yes, we are using 2 separate cables for our GPU. Got your CPU cable, and we'll use 1 more SATA cable because of the actual fan connectors. So I think we should be good on the cables here. So we're gonna go ahead and have this facing up. Slide that in. Okay, so once we do that, we'll line that up. Okay, so we got the power supply in. Okay, so we're gonna take our 24 pin connector and we'll go ahead and route this through this top spot right here. So just real quick, I actually flipped over the power supply and we're gonna be pulling the air from the bottom from that. And that should work out fine. It's an L filter down here as well. We're gonna go ahead and install the SATA drive. And again, we're gonna be using this just for gaming. And this is the actual hard drive base for it. All right, so we need to mount the actual drive to the plate, and then this screws on, and then we could be able to use these from the bottom. All right, so we got the SATA drive mounted to the actual bracket here. And what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and attach our SATA cable. And we're gonna take one of the, boom, thumb screws here. And then boom, that's how you do that. The Corsair fan here, the exhaust fan, we're gonna go ahead and mount this on the back and go ahead and attach the actual cable to the motherboard. So we got the fan here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and get the actual fan routed. So what we're gonna do is we actually wanna have this face this way because it's gonna pull in the actual air. The hot air is gonna pull it in and then it's gonna come out through the back. I actually need to take out the actual tray because we're gonna go ahead and get our radiator mounted. All right, so this is gonna be our tray that we're gonna attach the actual radiator to. All right, so we got screws, and we're definitely gonna figure out what all we need. All right, so I got it's a bunch of wires and everything everywhere, but we're gonna get all that cleaned up. But this is the bracket that I was talking about that we have the radiator attached to. So we're gonna go ahead and reattach this bracket. And what I'm seeing now, cables probably need to go in first. So the fan cables actually need to go through. So I'm about to stand the case up to attach this, and then I lay it back down so we could put the water block on top of the 9900K. Okay, so we have the radiator in. It took a little bit of time. So we got to attach to the bracket, then we had to screw the bracket into the top. So now it's time to go ahead and put the water block on. And what we are going to do is we actually are going to, if you see this part right here, it needs to face this side. And we're gonna sit this directly on top of the CPU. Okay, so it looks like we got it directly on top. Take these screws here. And we wanna tighten these up, not all the way, but we wanna screw these down. And we're gonna do it in a crisscross direction. All right, so we got the loops here. They're looking pretty good. Okay, so once you got this tightened up, I just tightened this up with my thumbs in a crisscross fashion. We pretty much installed the actual water block on the CPU. We got the radiator, we got the cooler, so we're good to go on that. So now what we need to do is actually figure out and go ahead and start plugging up the power cables and the SATA cables and doing everything so we can actually get the system to post. And once it posted, we'll do the cable management. So let's just get everything connected to the motherboard. All right, guys, so what we got here so far, definitely I was just connecting all of the actual CPU pump fan connectors and the RGB connectors, and we're gonna definitely do some cable management here, but I'm gonna make sure everything is working first before I start tightening things up. I moved the Commander Pro and also the Node Lite to the back. It was in the front bad area for routing the actual cables, so I moved them to the back with the 3M tape and stuff, so they are secured on the back. So it looks like we are pretty much done back here. We're gonna go back to the front and connect the rest of the wires to the motherboard. All right, so we are connecting the front cables. See, so this one right here is the HD audio. So this actually connects to the header that's all the way down here to the left. And that goes in like this, and everything is pretty much plug and play, so don't try to force anything. It should just go in easy. So that is the USB 3.1. Okay, so this is the USB 2.0. Once that's in, it's in. And I'm gonna back this cable out. There is another cable, and this is actually going to be coming from the CPU pump here. And this actually connects the side. Okay, so we got all of the two USB headers connected. One of the USB headers was connected to the CPU pump, and then HD audio. Now, the only thing that we need to connect is just the power switch, reset switch, power LED, power switch cables. And I'm going to be using this adapter that we're going to actually plug these cables into. So everything is connected so far, and I can't wait to turn this on for the first time. So stay tuned. Okay, so all of the cables have been connected to the motherboard. The last thing that we have to install is the graphics card. As you can see, we have a lot of room, and our graphics card takes up about 3 spaces. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove some of these, and then we're going to go ahead and install this, connect the power cables. And I just noticed we are missing a cable. This is the USB 3.0 cable, and this also goes in one way. All right, so RTX. And what I love about these PCIe connectors on here, they are reinforced with metal. Okay, so and of course, just like I said, we are using 2 separate PCIe cables, power cables, and it's definitely recommended for that. So you know, one is going to be for the 8-pin, then one for the 6-pin. Okay, we got a complete build, and so the only thing that we have to do now is cut it on, so to test it out. All right, guys, here we go. I'm gonna flip the switch on the back, and I seen a flash, and we're gonna hit the power button. Your boy did it. All the fans are running. We got the RGB lights on the front, back. We got the Corsair. Now, this is normal. It's gonna stop, start back again, repost and stuff like that. We got the RGB lights at the top. Oh, we in there. Yes, sir. Okay, I am feeling good about this. It is, right now, it is 4:21 a.m. in the morning. I started at 9 p.m. Last night in Team No Sleep, man.